What's up, brothers and sisters? This is your brother G World 7 underscore D. I have Dr. Clyde Winter's book here, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of the United States by Dr. Clyde Winter. I want to parallel something. I mentioned this before in my other videos, and I wish brothers and sisters continue to do their research and pick up on so many things. Here it is, this one right here. This is Malians in America. All right. Europeans learned about America from their travels along the west coast of Africa. Vasco da Gama is said to have found out information concerning the West Indies from Ahmed B. Majid. Right. In AD 1312, Emperor Abu Bakr Muhammad of Mali gave his throne to Mansa Musa and embarked with his fleet into the Atlantic Ocean in search of the continent opposite Africa. Archaeological and epigraphic evidence indicates that Abu Bakr and or members of his expedition settled in pre-Columbian Brazil. Ibn Fulala al-Umara, in his encyclopedia Masalik al-Absar, said the mariners from Mali during the reign of Abu Bakr made transatlantic voyages. Al-Umara obtained his information from Mansa Musa, who was handed the kingship of Mali by King Mansa Abu Bakr when he set out to colonize the Americas. The Malian people introduced their military, agriculture, and boat technologies to the Americas. The Mandings built dwellings depending on the topography. Around AD 1310, thousands of Manding speakers arrived in the Americas from ancient Mali. Ibn Falula al-Umara, in his encyclopedia Masalik al-Absar, said the mariners from Mali during the reign of Abu Bakr made transatlantic voyages. Al-Umara obtained his information from Mansa Musa, who was handed the kingship of Mali by Abu Bakr when he set out to colonize the Americas. Ibn al-Umara wrote, but the Emperor Abu Bakr did not believe him. Continued Mansa. He equipped 2,000 vessels, 1,000 for himself, 1,000 for water and supplies. He conferred power on me, Mansa Musa, and left with his companions in the ocean. The expeditionary force of Mansa Abu Bakr must have been immense, because the average boat on the Niger in 1500s AD could carry 80 men. This means that anywhere between 25,000 to 80,000 men may have sailed from Mali along with Mansa Abu Bakr. West African nautical science suggests that many members of Abu Bakr's exemplary force made it to America, because we find many Malian inscriptions throughout Mesoamerica, North America, South America. Much of what we know about West African nautical science comes from Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama is said to have found information about the West Indies from Ahmed B. Majid, whom he met along the west coast of Africa. Majid wrote a handbook on navigation on the Indian Ocean, Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, Sea of Southern China, and the waters around the West Indian Islands. Majid is also said to be the inventor of the compass. Paul Gaffarel, in Etudes sur les Rapports, said that when Balboa reached America, he found Negri verticals, or true blacks. Balboa noted Indian traditions of Mexico and Central America indicate that Negroes were among the first occupants of that territory. This is why so many Mexicans have African faces. Okay. South American Indians have a tradition that Mansar Akban was the leader of another tribe which discovered the Kunin people. This Mansar Akban may be referenced to Mansa Abu Bakr, who led the Malian voyages to the Americas. The Mandi lived in mounds along the Niger rivers. The mound cultures of ancient America were built by Africans, primarily Manding. The people of Niger Delta formed river ravine communities which were partly vegetation, where some aquatic animals were eaten. The ancient Mandi built several types of homes. In ancient times, they built masonry homes and cliff dwellings, identical to those found in the American Southwest. In medieval times, they lived in the mounds in the most watery areas in their circular huts, made of stone and wood on top in the fields in the front of the mounds tilted each day. The Malian people introduced their technology to the Americas. The Mandees built dwellings depending on their topography. Near rivers, they lived on mounds. In semi-arid regions, they lived in cliff houses, like those found in the Southwest. Today, the Dogon who trace their descent to the Mandee live in identical dwellings as those found in Colorado, where the Mandee inscriptions dating to AD 1000 have been found relating to Pueblo culture. According to Katamostu, the Mali mariners wore white caps on their heads and a white tunic. On the side of the skull caps worn by the Malian mariners, a white wing decoration was emblazoned, and a feather was stuck in the middle of the skull cap. On board each naval vessel stood a marine with a round leather shield on the arm and a short sword. Other marines were armed with bows and arrows. Murphy reported that the Malian military wore a uniform consisted of sandals, loose-fitting cotton breeches reaching down to the knees, a sleeveless tunic, and a white headdress of either cotton or leather, decorated with one or more feathers. The major weapons of the Malian soldiers included iron-pointed spears, daggers, and short swords, wooden battle clubs, and a bow and arrow. The Malians left many inscriptions in Brazil and elsewhere after they arrived in the Americas. These inscriptions are two of a kind. One group of inscriptions were meant to warn the Manding expeditionary force not to camp in certain areas. Okay, I may use this book for some more information, but I said it before. All right, when you look at those cliff dwellings in the Southwest, Colorado area, Arizona, Utah, it's the same thing you see with the Malian people over in what you saw in Mali today, West Africa. And I also use it, play with the names. Mandinka, Malinki, Saniki, Malinchi. Malinchi was one of the princesses of what we call the Azteca people. She was obviously a Negro, and she's obviously a Mandingo. So this stuff is parallel to one another. You see the cliff dwellings, those structures, and like I said before, they was built high, and lots of times it was built high. It was also like a protection of invaders, and to see invaders from a distance, but you see them from an aerial top. All right, and you also building up higher, getting closer over to the sun or the great sky or great Ra, whatever. But and then the mounds are built more close to water ravines. I've said that before in my other videos, even before I got to Dr. Winter's book. This information's been there, and what it talks about is talking about 25,000 people, 80,000 people sailing the seas of the Atlantic, and there's also brothers and sisters who sailed the Pacific. But this is not about the Pacific. But what I'm talking about here is that, like I mentioned before, you can go back to my other videos. Saniki, Malinki, Malinchi, Saniki. Those names sound similar. Then you get Kankakee, which is in Illinois. Tallahassee, Geechee, Ogeechee, Tennessee, Ofuskie. Man, these names are literally in your face. These names are named after Negroes who are already here. The Malian people, the Malian tribe here in America. These are all Negroes. These names, it gives you right in your face, man. This information in your face. When people keep telling you that you first came in with a slave, that's a damn lie. There's various different types of so-called black people here in America selling back and forth. This is common sense. I'm just giving you, I said in my other videos, I start playing with names. I just gave it to you a few minutes ago. I just read you out of Dr. Winter's book. In my other videos, I showed you the very different rock structures that are parallel and just like the ones over in Mali. Because these are the same damn Negroes who just basically spread out, traveled, and broke up into various different groups and tribes, what you call tribes. This is common sense. This is in your face. So when Negroes deny this, man, and say that you came over here as a slave, when the original people in Americas were so-called Negroes, and you had various different type of Negroes because you had your black folks out west who were different and who came from somewhere else compared to black people in the east, in the Midwest, in the Southwest, in the South. These were some different Negroes. But there was various different types of black people here in Americas. But those names are very similar. I just said that. And I showed you the similarity in the rock structures that were built out here in Americas and over in West Africa. I showed that in one of my other books, two of my books. And I brought out the Encyclopedia Britannica, the Compton's edition before. You can go back and look at those videos. I showed you that Malinche, and the name is Mali Nali. Her name is Mali. And the name Mali is just a reference to ancient Mali or Malian. So people have the name Mali or something like that. Hey, Molly, look, little Molly, the little girl Molly. That goes back to Malay, Malinche. That's a Negro name. This is so obvious, man. These white scholars not gonna teach you nothing. And some of these Negroes who've been paid by these white people are not gonna teach you nothing. These boule Negro liberals and these sellout black conservatives are not gonna teach you nothing. You must dig deep for your history and start studying it and start taking it seriously. And stop saying you're a descendant of African slaves when you're not. I'm going to eventually talk about the Highlanders. These are Negro Europeans. So I'm going to get into all of it. We need to reclaim our total history. And stop listening to outsiders tell you who you are. Even people who are fellow melanated people who don't know a damn thing about our history here. The wealth of greatness here in the Americas and what our ancestors built in America, the various different types of black people that were here, who the original people here and built the Americas. Come on. You've always been here. This is your land. You're not a foreigner. You are aboriginal to America. This is your damn land. You are a mixture of various different black groups that were here, and many of them sailed over here. Peace and love, brothers. This is your brother G World 7_D. I love you.